Hey, LCM, Love's Compassion Ministry followers. I am Tashara, your host.
I'm Jedediah, your co-host.
As y'all know, this is the season finale. Tune in. Let's go. It's going to be some exciting stuff that we're going to talk about, right, Jay?
Right.
Going to be a little transparent.
Yes, we are. We're going to give you the energy and the stuff that you guys have been looking for.
Can't wait to see y'all. We're going to miss y'all when we go off for probably about a month. But we'll keep y'all posted. Keep y'all giving little teasers and stuff. Y'all can watch previous episodes. Be sure to tune in. Like, share, hit the notification, subscribe on YouTube. We love y'all. Jay, what is your favorite part of our podcast that we do every week?
I think the feedback.
Love the feedback.
The feedback.
Love when the fans our followers engage with us and start like asking questions or feeding off of our energy. Hey guys. I am Tashara of Love's Compassion Ministries.
I'm Jedediah Gilliard of Love's Compassion Ministries. I'm your co-host.
Thank you for joining us today. Here we go. Jay, what is your favorite part of our podcast that we do every week?
I think the feedback.
Love the feedback.
The feedback.
Love when the fans our followers engage with us and start like asking questions or feeding off of our energy. Hey guys. I am Tashara of Love's Compassion Ministries.
I'm Jedediah Gilliard of Love's Compassion Ministries. I'm your co-host.
Thank you for joining us today. Here we go. Hello. How you doing? I am Tashara, your host of Love's Compassion Ministries.
I'm Jedediah, your co-host of Love's Compassion Ministries.
This is our season finale, guys. Y'all have been so loyal and so faithful. It's been super, super pleasant, super fun. We've learned a lot from one another. We've learned a lot talking to you guys. And I'm just excited that like we just ended a whole little season of our first podcast. Isn't that cool?
Very.
People really like you. Like for real, like people really like you. Are you bashful?
What's that?
You don't have anything to say? Are you shy?
Thank you.
Well, we thank you guys because y'all don't have to be with us every weekend. Y'all could be anywhere else out here in this world doing whatever y'all want. But y'all come and tune in to us every weekend when we come forth. And we appreciate y'all for that. Today's season finale, as y'all can see down in the bottom, we are talking about being raised by
two moms.
Dawn said, yep, we do. They like you. They really, really like you. So some may think, oh, being raised by two moms, this is probably going to be Jetty's field. Why? Because Jetty's the one being raised by two moms. But it's not just going to be Jetty's field. Because guess what? I'm one of the moms. Jay, you know I always say, where would you like to start? Sorry, guys. We're just trying to take care of, the real life situations. This is what happens when you go live. It's the new addition to the family that's being raised by two moms. Jay, would you like to start?
I mean, not really.
Jody had all this energy before we came on. He got like a whole 2-3 pages in his book of notes and stuff. And now he don't want to start.
I don't want to start. Don't worry, it's gonna get interesting.
It's gonna get interesting. You promise?
I promise.
All right, first and foremost, we like to put this out here from the gate, right? We feed off of y'all energy as well. Like we feed off of each other. That's always pleasant. Mother, son, super charming, correct, charismatic individuals. But why is it doing that? Technology. Can't trust it. Don't trust it, guys. But we also feed off of you guys. So please feel free. I know there was a lot of people hitting us up, texting and stuff saying, oh my gosh, this is a great topic. Oh, this is a really excellent topic. Oh, I'm excited. If any of you people are on, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, please feel free. Put the comments. What about it was exciting for you? What was your expectations? What were you looking to hear? What were your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? We welcome that. Bring it. Bring them out. Bring them out. First off, Jay don't want to start, right? So what I would like to discuss, right? It's been for a long test of time. People have opinions and feelings and very strong feelings against same gender parenting, right? Everything is supposed to be traditional. God made for man and woman to be together and procreate. That's how you said to say the word, right, babe? Procreate. Y'all know I'm gonna be me all the time. So, yes, if we go by the standards, God did make us to procreate. But the eggs are there. The fertilization process is there. I would like to know. We know man puts their hand in everything. We get that. We understand that. But if he did not approve of surrogacy in the sense of IVF, because you got people that have troubles having kids, IVF, IUIs, donations of, donors, as, we have out here, embryos and all of the different ways these days that there are to procreate. Why would he allow it to go this far? I just want to know. Now, granted, we can debate that. I'm not here to debate it, but we can debate that, man and the freedom of choice and so on and what have you. But we also know that God is the author of life. And there are people out here that no matter how much money they spend on these processes, IVF, IUIs, and such, or even in hetero relationships, natural conception. If he ain't gonna have you have a kid, you ain't gonna have a kid. It's just not gonna happen. I know people personally that wanted children so bad and tried majority of their life and are heartbroken because they were never able to. God is the author of it. So if he didn't want it to happen, it just wouldn't happen. That is my belief. Y'all don't agree? Let's talk about it. That being said, I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want it to be like I have one track mind, right? I do see the value. I do understand the importance of a male and a female in a child's life. Do I feel like there has to be a mother and a father in the household? I do not. Ask that to all the single mothers out there. Ask that to all the single fathers out there. It's a lot of us out there, or a lot of them out there, that's like, I just want a new daddy for my child. I just would love to give my child the mother. And then there's a lot of people that may not even want that. Why? Because sometimes it can be a headache. I'm just being real with you. Differences in parenting and such, or what have you. You got kids out here that don't have a mom and a dad for a variety of reasons. But then you have two moms, because I'm going to stay on the topic of two moms. Why? Because there is not two dads over here. And I can't speak on two dads because I've never experienced two dads. So if there's anyone that tunes into this video today that is experienced in the area of having two dads in the household, please feel free. Jump in the comments. We welcome it. We'll even invite you onto the video if you like. I'm just saying. But if you have two women that are in love and can offer a healthy home for a child, a healthy upbringing, a healthy life for a child, please tell me what the opposition is. I see 5 eyeballs. 1 or 2 of them might be mine because I'm logged in from 2 different devices. So it might be me on YouTube and me on Facebook. I'm not sure. But let's say if it was only 3 eyes. Who are you?
2 eyes, because one of them is me.
So we only got 2 watchers?
Sadly.
That's not sad. This is who it's meant to be for, and that's who's here in the room. So I know Dawn is in the room. I know Anthony is in the room. I know my boy Phil is in the room. So that's 3 at least. I started. Tag, you're it.
Wow. I was ready for questions.
You want the questions now? It's not early for questions, but we can talk about the articles.
Mm-hmm.
I sent Jetty 2 articles I read. 2 different POVs. Hey, Miss T. 2 different POVs. You had one person. What was the first article? What was the author's name?
The author's name of the first article was...
Can I just say we don't trust technology? I told you to write them down. No, go ahead.
Robert Oscar Lopez.
Okay, so Mr. Lopez wrote from a standpoint of the difficulty of being a child raised in a household with 2 moms, right?
Right.
The second person name was
Orly G.S. Marini
Rappaport. So Mr. Marini Rappaport wrote from the standpoint of just his experience and what that was like for him, and the type of questions and things that he were asked. We're going to discuss that, right? Now, there were some things that Mr. Lopez stated. Thank you, Don. Appreciate you. There were some things that Mr. Lopez stated that kind of, I won't even say baffled me because I wasn't confused. It did make me ask some questions, but he spoke on how because he was raised in a household with 2 moms, he had difficulty, correct me if I'm wrong because you also read the articles, he has difficulty socializing and making relationships because he wasn't taught, or he wasn't raised in a traditional house, taught traditional practices. Do you remember that? You remember that? He's going to try to pull up the article. I didn't agree with what he was saying in the sense that might be his situation in the sense of not being able to make or generate healthy relationships with others. That doesn't come from 2 moms. You can be in a household with anyone, whomever is molding you. If you're not taught how to communicate, then you're going to have a hard time communicating with people. If you don't see healthy relationships around you or how to form relationships, then you're going to struggle with forming relationships. We are a creature of habit, a creature that learns from the things that we see. We're sponges from the time that we come out, observing everything that we see around us, hear around us, and practicing those things. So being raised in a household with 2 moms, for anyone that thinks that's going to be a social problem, I beg to differ. But if you don't agree with me, let's talk about it. Let's go. Did you see that part that I was speaking about in the article?
I did.
You want to read it, what it says?
As a result, I had very few recognizable social cues to offer. Wait.
Go ahead.
to offer potential male or female friends, since I was neither confident nor sensitive to others. Thus, I befriended people rarely and alienated
Alienated.
others easily.
It sounds like someone who had self-esteem issues, if you ask me. That's my opinion. What did y'all hear when y'all heard what he just said? That doesn't sound like it came from the specifics of being raised by two moms. You can be raised in a household with just one mom and learn how to socialize. All it takes is someone teaching you. And from what it sounds like with him, he felt awkward. So he needed somebody to pour into him. He needed some affirmation. He felt misplaced in the world. Now, thank you. Thank you. Something came into my mind. So, one of the things that I try to do with my boys, right? Because if anyone who knows me, that's true. I might think that it could sound like someone who didn't like their environment. One of the things that I did with my boys, because if anybody who knows me, my children were conceived. My two boys were conceived naturally, right? And one was from a marriage, one was not, but nevertheless formed naturally. So that means she, me, her. I once was with men. My oldest son was probably you're eight. I mean, 8 years apart. He was about two. No, he was one, maybe two. So he's about 9, 10 years old. I decided I want to sit down and have a conversation with him because, again, he knew me to have once been with his father, married to his father. He has seen me date dudes. Miles was 7. I don't think Miles was 7 because Jetty was here and they're 8 years apart. But I sat down and I had a conversation with him because I didn't know what that life was going to look like. I just knew it would be different from what he knew. I didn't want him to be uncomfortable. I didn't want him to be confused. So I had a conversation with him. And I expressed to him that I just wanted him to know I just wanted him to know that what he was used to seeing might look different, right? So I said, I just want to let you know that, mom was going to be seeing, you know, possibly seeing women as opposed to men. And I say women, not to say that I was going to be around with a bunch of women, because that's not my story or my testimony. It was just to give him an understanding. You're used to seeing me with a dude. Now you're going to be seeing me with a chick. That's just me. No offense to the women or the men. So when I first expressed that to him, he was like, wait, I thought that you believed in the Bible. I said, and I do. And he said, but I thought the church said that it was wrong to be gay. I said, the church did say that it was wrong to be gay. But I'm always going to encourage you and anyone else whom in which I speak to, study the Bible for yourself. Get that relationship with God for yourself. Obtain your own understanding. Let no man tell you what the Bible says. I don't agree with the church. So I'm going to do what I need to do for my life. Me and God got an understanding. I've communicated with him about this already. So I'm at peace and I'm okay. And if you have any further questions, you can ask me, but also ask God if you think something's wrong with it. And I pray you find clarity in that. Jetty was only like 2 years old. 2. So I started introducing him to, when I got into a serious relationship, I started introducing him to books that painted the picture of different families. You got mother and grandmother, you got mom by herself or dad by himself, or two moms or two dads, or even green parents, like just to show diversity, right? So I was introducing him to those things so that it wouldn't be foreign. Because at the time I didn't have peers or friends around me that he would have also seen this with. So I just wanted him to at least see it, from a book. I mean, I guess, that was a start, an introduction. Do you remember any of that?
I remember a singular book, and it was like me, mama, and mom or mommy, something like that.
I remember that book. Did you feel any way growing up with two moms?
No, but when I was first introduced to Miss Dion, at first I was a little confused, like, huh?
You were 4.
I was 4.
That is very natural. You were 4 years old. No one expects you to understand that. But to be confused, and what type of confusion might you think you remember having?
I mean, at first it was like, who was this? And then it was like, wait, you guys are together? And then it was the times when you were like, it was something where you said like something about if you guys got married, she would be my bonus mom. And then, but you were like, she's not your bonus mom yet. And then you sometimes would call her wife anyway.
Those are the memories. Do you remember the feelings?
I mean, after a while, I just got used to it. It was like,
You said that it felt a little confusing, or you felt a little confused. Did you feel uncomfortable?
No.
Did you feel like this ain't normal?
For me, it was normal because I'd probably feel the same way if you introduced me to a man at the age of 4, because then it was just me, you, and Miles. So then it's like, because that's the first thing, like the first person I'm introduced to who's going to be like my other parent, it's just normal for me. I think now if something were to happen and it was different, it would have been weird for me, like that's different, but I'm used to it. So it's like normal.
When you say if now, you mean like, God forbid, something were to like I wasn't in my relationship and you've been experiencing a bonus mom all this time, and then there's a bonus dad to come along, you want to be like,
Right.
I got you. Oh, I appreciate that. You got something you want to go with? You read the articles, your thoughts, your comments. Hey, Janae, Curtis, we got people in the room. They over here on, oh yeah, this Facebook, that's YouTube. They over here on Facebook. Hi.
I know you said you didn't want to do the questions yet, but there's a specific question where I went like,
well, I'm going to ask you these questions.
Right.
But you can still talk. You got 3 pages. You ain't even got to go to the questions. You got 3 pages of notes over here.
Right. But
do what you want, baby. Do what you want. Let the Lord use you. Go with the Spirit.
I guess looking at the question, because, I was like, when you told me we were going to go over questions, I looked at the questions and I took as much notes as I could. And one of the questions I went all out on. Like, I just wrote. And that question was from the article, and the article said, how is your life different because you have 2 moms? For me, I didn't really know, because I was like, I got 2 different meanings from that question, because I didn't know if it was saying like, how is your life having 2 moms, or is it comparing like, how do you think your life is having 2 moms
versus people who are in hetero relationships,
right,
or hetero households rather.
Right. But I mean, I feel like, to go with the first one, having 2 moms. Never mind. But if the question was asking me to compare, like we said, me having 2 moms versus, they say, a traditional, what is it? A traditional household. Yes, thank you. Then there was another article that I researched, and I got information from that, and I very much agreed with it. And to compare them, so like sort of what you were saying before, a lot of people say that, you know, you need a father figure or you need some kind of male in your life. You said you didn't necessarily believe that. In this article,
I didn't say that.
you didn't say that?
No.
I could have sworn you said that.
My very second note, what did it say?
Still need a male figure.
Don't be putting words in my mouth and
No, 'cause I coulda
projecting stuff
sworn
on
you said
me.
that. I coulda
I
sworn-
did not.
You
I will
said
never tell a
something.
young man that he doesn't need a man somewhere in his life
But you
to
said
help guide.
something like you don't believe something.
I just said you ain't got to be raised in a household with a man and a woman.
Oh, that thing. But the article states that although having two parents is important, your parents' gender does not. According to a pair of American sociologists.
Oh, when he said he researched. Oh, he researched.
According to a pair of American sociologists, they spent 5 years sifting or, searching through all the information and the outcomes for children raised in traditional families and with those raised by the same sex.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Their conclusion, no substantive difference at all.
Hey, say that again.
No substantive difference at all.
Holy Lou?
Which means it does not matter if you are raised by two moms, two dads, same-sex couple in general, or if you were raised by a mom and dad.
That's right, son. You do your research on the sociologist people.
NYU's Judith Stacy says, the upshot of the study is something that should be common sense, but instead there is this enormous belief in the significance of gender. Bottom line, what matters is good parenting.
Woo! That goes back to what I was saying about the young man, Mr. Lopez, in the first article. His issues came from the parenting. It did not come from the same gender in the household.
What?
It's right here, but then it said, I don't know, because over here said it was retracted. Anywho, sorry, don't get sidetracked. Only one of us can look at the comments at one time. Otherwise, we look crazy. So now that leads me to say, right now, good parenting, granted, but to touch base on Jedediah trying to accuse me of thinking it's not necessary for a male to be in the child's life. I don't care if you're a girl or a boy. It is important for you to have a male and female positive role model in your life.
And it doesn't have to
somewhere
be a
along
parent.
the way. It does not have to be a parent. I was about to say that, but great minds think alike, and my mini-me said it first. It doesn't have to be a parent. Honestly, you have some people who have their mother and their father in their household, and neither of them are good role models. So your role models don't have to come from your parents, and having a male and female role model is still important. I'm not saying being raised in a same-sex household is in any way, shape, form, or fashion. What would I like? I wouldn't replace that or feel like it is less important or not important to have a male figure still in my child's life. I attempted to get him male figures. That might sound crazy to say, but I attempted to get him male figures because I did understand the importance of having a positive male figure. And I do understand the importance of a lot of young men that are in the streets today who had their mother or had their father or possibly even had their mother and father playing some form of a role in their lives and still ended up lost in the streets, snatched up by the local drug dealers and such, the local gangs that pulled them in. Why? Because they still needed a sense of belonging. They still wanted some sense of family unit of some sort and feeling like someone had them. I didn't want that to happen to Jay. I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen to Jay. I don't and didn't want that to happen with Miles. Now, the difference is Miles actually has had his father in his life his entire life. I knew not prior to conceiving Jay, I knew after conceiving Jay that the donor, I'd be trying to take my time and think about what I'm going to say so that it doesn't come from an emotional place. I knew that the person whom in which helped to create Jay, after helping to create Jay, wasn't going to be around. Hey, that's simple. I could just say that. Wasn't going to be around. And I didn't want him to grow up feeling a lot of things that can come from that, especially because he grew up in a house with a brother who had a very active father. Jetty was 2 when he first asked me where his dad was. Miles has a dad. Where's my dad? That's a typical question. It almost came off though like, you bought Miles a bike, where my bike? But it was more impactful because you're talking about a life-changing situation, and something that was totally understandable. So I attempted to get him male figures along the way. Like, he had a godfather. Thoughts, comments, concerns on the first godfather, not the one you picked for yourself?
Oh. Well, I haven't spoken to him in years. Nor did I speak to him that much before, unless I saw him in church.
And he is a man of God who's married with kids. So he knows how to be a dad. And they took on the role, I asked before, and they seemed to be so pleasant about it, but they're MIA. I didn't learn until years later that I guess something happened between my son and his son. Kids would be kids. They were little. And they took it, the dude took it so personally that he stopped allowing my son to come around.
What happened?
You and their son, we're not going to say no names, got into a physical altercation of some sort.
Oh.
Which I was like freaking 4. Yeah, I was little, 3, 4 years old. And old boy took it personally. And so then when you would ask to come over, he always had an excuse or a reason why you couldn't. And he didn't tell me till years later. And I'm like, you never even brought it to my attention. But anywho, that was my first attempt of trying to put a consistent, what I thought was positive male figure in his life. But people will be people. You can't control them. And then Jetty selected his own godfather, who was or is the bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I mean, he barely calls. Last time he called, I think, would have been maybe on my birthday. And then when I wanted, like, times where I wanted to come over, excuses.
So I just stopped trying to reach out and ask people because my son already deals with abandonment issues from the MIA donor. I'm not going to continue to put that on him. He don't need that. So I stopped trying to find him a male role model. I just pray over him and continue to do the things that I do. I throw a football around with him. I'll work out with him when we work out.
So with that being said, here he is being raised in the household with 2 consistent women.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Hello guys, I'm the second mom. My name is Dion, and here is his little sister, Charity Rose.
Yes, that's bonus mom right there.
And
One thing I can say, if you don't mind, is, and her and I have had this discussion plenty of times. Jetty definitely look. Dawn said, "What?" D. Reed said, "Thanks for stopping by." um, Jetty is definitely getting to experience what it's like to have two parents in the house. That goes back to what you said, Jay. Parenting. He's getting to experience what it's like to have two parents in the house. Rather it is a mother, rather it is a father. There's always a vibe in the house when there's two parents because they're not always going to parent the same exact way. And one might be a little more firm than the other one. Questions, comments, concerns? Jay? It's my way of making sure that you don't get silenced or muted. Let's go.
Like to go with what you literally just said. This parent, a little more. I don't know, a little more
stern,
firm. Yes.
no nonsense,
Right.
straight to the point.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still a loving household. And that's what I come from. That's all I know. I'm a straight shooter. But at the end of the day, he's loved. And that's the only thing that we can provide, that we provide in this household, is a nurturing, loving household. So people would pay attention to the fact that it's a same sex, lesbian, the labels. But at the end of the day, we're moms, we're nurturers, and we're not providing any type of abusive household to this young man and this lovely little lady. Growing up for me, I've also was raised in a household with two women.
You want me to get your chair or you want to sit in my chair?
I'm good. I'm good. I was also raised in a household with two women. The dynamic was different. It was my grandmother and my mom, but at the end of the day, it was still a loving household. I did not know what it was like to be raised in a household with a man, a father. I knew my father, but I wasn't raised with him. So I was, as a parent now, I'm able to take what I learned from my grandmother, what I learned from my mom, and carry on the same nurturing household with my children. At this point, I do worry about, with this little one, when she's going to ask the question, because she hears her peers speaking on their dad or whatever. But I wonder when that question is going to come up about, well, who's my dad? And she was conceived different from Jay. But nonetheless, she's still loved. I love her to pieces. And I just know that there's going to come a time where she still asks. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for
Any
coming.
questions for me? Anybody?
While we wait to see if anybody has any questions, would you like to add anything about what Dee just said?
I forget what the word is called, but how she was saying how, no matter how firm she is, it's still, at the end of the day, she still loves me and it's still a loving household. I forget what that word is. It's like something love.
Tough love.
Tough love.
Put Charity in her chair. Yes, you do get tough love from Dee, but I do think that in households like that, it creates a balance. Rather it's a mother or father, two mothers, two fathers. I do believe a child should have a balance. Some people might say good cop, bad cop, that foolery. I don't think anybody's a bad cop, bad parent in any sense of the word, but I don't think both parents should be like rigid, mad strict, rah, rah, rah kind of situation, because then it's like, where do they get that nurturing or where do they get that softness from? Balance is very important. So And balance doesn't have to come from a male and a female. Some people are very misconstrued it with the concept of, mother, father, mother, father. I actually was having a conversation earlier with my wife, and I was saying that unfortunately, people take their own personal feelings about same sex relationships, period, on a sexual note, and somehow connect that when it comes to parenting. And parenting has nothing to do with my sexual preference, in all honesty. I would think that that's kind of weird, personally, if I made my parenting about my sexual preference. Um, so if you take out your own personal opinions and thoughts of ill or that's wrong, or however y'all have these twisted thoughts when it pertains to same-sex relationships, if you take out that thought process or put it completely, like, just I pray for y'all, but just put it completely to the side and think about the parenting aspect, your concern shouldn't be the gender of the people who are around the child. It should be the love that that child is getting. Like my wife said earlier, it should be the care. It should be the lessons that they're being taught. My goal, always with my children, is to make sure that they can navigate this world when I'm gone, when they're leaving my house, when they have to stand on their own 2 feet. I want them to feel secure. I want them to feel like, I can do this. And it doesn't take a man and the woman together in the same household to do that. You can co-parent with anyone. Dion's mother co-parented with Dion's grandmother. And that's how she was able to stand on her own 2 feet. And the male figures that she had in her life, aside from her dad, was a whole bunch of uncles. So at the end of the day, it always goes back to, it takes a village. That village is not just made up of hetero relationships, no matter how you put it. So there's a lot of y'all that's misconstrued it, right? But back to these questions. There were some questions that Mr. Rappaport, Marina Rappaport, had said that he experiences in life. And I wanted to ask Jedediah these questions. You know what? Before I go into these questions, Jay, even though, like you said, you've been around, two moms pretty much for the bulk of your life that you can remember, yes?
Right.
I want to say that I remember hearing sometimes, once or twice or so, like, oh, you got two moms? That's cool. What would you say the type of questions people might have asked you, or things that you might have had to experience as a result of people finding out or seeing that you had two moms?
Well, if I mention that I have two moms, or if it's brought up in the conversation, maybe talk about that. I know a big question that I get is, what do I call Miss Dion? Like, do you call her mom too? Do you call her mommy, mama, ma? So, I feel like I don't get that many questions because I feel like whoever I tell takes it as a, oh, like an interesting kind of thing, but not like even if they do wonder about it, it doesn't show, like,
they keep it to themselves.
Right. It's not like, I don't, for whatever reason, but it's not like they want to go out and just start asking me questions about it because they're curious.
So if you feel like you answered this already within our live, you can just say that. First question. If someone says, hey, Jay, what's it like to have two moms? What might you say in return?
Oh, sorry. I mean, it's hard for me to explain what it's like to have two moms because, right, it's normal for me. So that's like saying to me, not from experience, but from what I've seen and what I know, I could probably explain to you what it's like having a mom and a dad. But for me to explain what it's like for having a mom and a mom is like saying it's like the same thing to me because I still have two parents and they're parenting me. They might parenting me. Is that the word? Parenting me. They might not be parenting me in the same way, but they're still, So
There's your answer.
yes.
Great. Jetty, who's your real mom?
This one I really thought about. Technically, you being my biological mom would be my real mom, but
What does the word real mean to you?
so
What's the opposite of real?
fake. And Miss Dion's not my fake mom. According to the Bible, not a verse, but according to the Bible, a mother is someone who loves and cares for her children and teaches them discipline. Miss Dion cares for me, loves me, and teaches me discipline. The Oxford definition of the word mom is the female parent of a human being. She may not be my biological parent, but she is still my parent. This being said, really, both of my moms, Miss Dion and you, are my real moms.
Period. But no, Jetty, like, who's your real mom? I'm sorry, that's what the question said. Remember the young man said that's what they asked him? Like, when he answered, he like, no, but who's your real mom, though? It's just the difference of biological mom, who carried you. That's it. But I love your answer. And I love your lessons. Teach. Let the Spirit use you, young man. Okay, so you told us who your moms are. Who is your dad?
Okay, so sometimes I say I don't have a dad, but that's not the case because I obviously have a dad. Well, let's not say obviously. I have a dad. I just don't have a father figure in my life, like in my life. So, but my real dad, not gonna say names, he's
not an active person.
Yes.
So by definition, is he considered your dad?
Right. So this is something.
Hey, that's a good. Hold on, because y'all might not have heard that question. So Jetty just took his time and explained by the Oxford definition and the biblical definition what a mom is, right? What a mother is. So the wife asked, by way of definition, is the person that you're speaking about your dad?
So I've said this in the past plenty of times.
That was a good question.
But I've said this in the past plenty of times that when I think of a father, I think of the role of a father and the role that they're supposed to play. Oxford Dictionary, a father, a man in relation to his child or children. Oh, wow. So that was the noun, and that he doesn't really have a relationship with me or any relation to me. So I wouldn't really say he's my father. Obviously, I mean, he is.
Biologically,
right.
DNA says
but
you are the father.
But definition of a father, he really isn't because he doesn't treat me like, I feel like he doesn't act like a father towards me. He doesn't show really any love. I haven't got any calls from him ever. I have to call him. The only calls I get from him is when he calls me back. At least he calls me back. I haven't seen him in person in very, very long.
He was like 9.
Right. Now, the verb of a father is to cause a pregnancy resulting in the birth of a child. So, technically, if you want to think of the verb.
Miss T
he's my
said he's
father.
your father, not your dad. So by way of definition, he helped to conceive you, so he's your father. But a dad is the one who does the active role in your life.
Right. So the role of a dad, not the role of a father.
Copy that. Man, this is some good stuff. You ever got this ignorant question before? I don't think you have. But what do you think about it? That's what I'm going to say.
Mhm.
What do you think about it if someone said, so between your two moms, which one's like your dad? Which one's your dad?
Oh. So
I hate those ignorant questions. So which one of y'all are like the dude?
I haven't gotten this question, but I've thought of this, and I was just like, in the past, I used to think, and I was like, technically, because I already have a mom, Miss Dion is like my dad. But then really, she's not, because like you said before, they're both my mom.
Miss T, I see you. Give me a second.
Oh, but if you're asking who plays the role of a dad, then I don't really know, because I don't really, like, I know what the role of a dad is, but I haven't got
that.
right. I've never had that experience.
You got two moms.
I have two moms. According to Google, a father is someone who provides, protects, leads, teaches, helps, and encourages. Based on that information, I would think both my moms play the role of a dad.
Hey, my goodness. Boy, you in here preaching. I am your mammy, and I'm is your daddy.
Because who is to say that a mother can't do all of those things? Because they can. Which means there is no dad of the relationship. I have two moms that can play that role.
Whose kid is this? It's awesome. Miss T, go ahead. Answer. Write it out in the comments. Do you want me to bring you on? Just let me know. I'm not sure which question you're answering, but feel free. Write the question and the answer in the comment. Jay, what do you call your moms? Both of them. What do you call them?
I'll call you my biological mom.
Boy, bye.
I call you mommy. I call Miss Dion Miss Dion. But I've been trying to call her mom because it doesn't sound, I don't know, like,
It's not natural to you? Only because it's not your practice. It's not something that you practice.
no, I mean, like, Miss Dion sounds like, you know,
Oh, you
like if somebody didn't know me or Miss
Right.
Dion and I was just like, hey, Miss Dion, it would have sounded like, oh, who's, you know,
So you're saying that you're trying to stop calling her Miss Dion.
right. So like if I was just like, hey, mom, they know, oh, this is his mother. But for some reason, I found out the reason actually. A lot of people may say Miss Dion is my stepmom. I say
Right.
it is my bonus mom. Turns out stepmom came from the German, or maybe it was Greek, word stiop. And for some reason they changed that to step. Like they, you know, and then they put that together, which was stepdad or stepmom, because stiop was, I forget the definition of that actually.
Little scholar over here. Gotta love it. And the last question I don't have to ask because you kind of led with it, which is, how is your life different because you have two moms?
Right.
I think you did really good today, son.
Thank you.
Questions? Comments?
Concerns?
Anybody? Y'all know we always tell you guys, if you need prayer or you have suggestions, especially since, okay, instead of looking crazy where we just start staring at the screen, I'm going to read the comment out loud for those who's not looking at it at all. Androgyny is the word. Instead of masculinity, and femininity being opposites, they are independent traits. I found that interesting.
I was actually going to say earlier, but I changed my mind and decided not to say it, that living with living with two moms, I feel like I pick up some of that femininity.
Femininity?
Is that a word?
Femininity? Femininity?
Femininity.
That word. We know what you're saying. Matter of fact, here.
Femininity.
We'll just put that there. So one of the things that I do find and that I have noticed, and I actually thought about this when I first joined the last church that I was in, sometimes you can look at men and tell that they were raised around a bunch of aunts and a mom or a single mom without, much male figures. Because another thing that you do learn from the same gender sometimes is the way in which you carry yourself, even just from your swag, your walk, the way you dress, the things you take an interest in. So that can be one of the reasons that Jay says that he noticed that sometimes he may think or feel like he pick up some of the femininity from what he sees in the house. Oh, yes, Dawn. Me and Dawn has had this conversation before. I'm going to give you from a standpoint that I tend to put it. But let's first read the comment, right? What it means to me, this is based on the androgyny, right? Remark that she made. What it means to me is that not only men are masculine and women are feminine.
I just wanted to go off of what that said.
Go.
So, me and my two moms have actually
Betty. Sorry.
Me and my two moms have actually spoke about this in the past many times. You can be a gay man and be masculine or be feminine. You can be a lesbian woman, if we're using labels, and be feminine or masculine too.
And you can be a heterosexual woman and be masculine as well as a heterosexual man and have feminine traits. One of the things that I tend to make a joke of it frequently, but I'm not saying it to be funny, right? Well, there is one part that I do say sometimes, because sometimes when I see a man that is very flamboyant, I'll be like, he got one too many ribs. Why do I make that statement? Why do I make that statement? I make that statement because if we go back to the Bible times and we go back to what it says in the Bible, it says that woman was created from man. Eve was taken from man. Scripture says that the Lord put Adam to sleep. You know how surgeons do? And he pulled out a rib. I'm gonna make fried ribs in a couple of weeks now. I'm just, that's true, but sorry. Focus. He pulled out a rib from Adam and made Eve. So I make that statement sometimes because if I see a dude that is not very masculine, I tend to joke around and be like, he got one too many ribs. That just be my joke. But that being said, if God indeed created woman from man, a woman from a man, that means every man got a woman in him. Sorry, that's my interpretation. That's my interpretation of the scripture. Everybody got their own interpretations. That's why y'all sit up on the pastors. They giving y'all their interpretation of the word. I'm giving you my interpretation. If we came from a man, then that means something out of that man made a woman. So something in that man had to be that of a woman. Right? And if the woman came out of that man, she came out of a man, which means she has some of that man. It's just not everybody is going to have traits that dominate where you pull her out. So she may have some masculinity. It's just as bad as the word femininity. She may have some masculinity, But it depends on, in my opinion, sometimes it can be whatever nurtures it, right? Whatever you're around the most. So if I am a dude and I am raised around nothing but men, sometimes, not all the times. If I am raised around nothing but men as a man, if they're all masculine men, might have a little hard way about me. I'm sorry. Might have a little hard way about me. If I am a dude and I'm raised around nothing but women and don't have any type of male figure or male to look to, and all of those women are feminine, then it's going to be natural and normal for me to pick up some of their
traits or feminines.
what do you softness.
Oh,
That sounds a lot better than
yeah.
me looking like I'm trying to vogue. Hard because the closest thing I had was an uncle, but he's a cheater. 10. Sorry, y'all. But that was the response that I had towards what Dawn had written as far as the androgyny and the breakdown of her understanding of it. Now, we always say questions, comments, concerns,
Topic suggestions,
prayer requests. That number, that one right there, that one. 347-699-5722. Feel free to text us. It don't matter what time you text. I'll pick up the phone when I pick up the phone. If you don't want me in your business, you don't want me to know what you want prayer for, but you want prayer, you can simply say that. That's fine. Not a problem. I have a prayer wall downstairs in my basement, and when people come over, sometimes they deposit prayers into that wall, and I make it my responsibility to pray over the wall and people's prayers. So I can write your prayer in the wall, even if it's just, Lord, you know, so and so and so. Put it in the wall and cover you in prayer. So if you want some prayer, right there. If you don't want to text because you don't want me to have your phone number for whatever reason, I'm cool with that. Feel free. Email me.
lovescompassion@gmail.com.
Those of you, and I can see you guys actually got this message this go around because I could tell by the live and the additional followers that we have had over the course of this week. Again, I keep saying we've had a lot of people say that they have a hard time getting onto Facebook for whatever the reason is, getting onto the live. So I started attaching the YouTube channel. Feel free to join the YouTube when you can't get into the Facebook. That being said, hurry up, go over to YouTube, hit subscribe, right? Hit the notification bell.
So you know when we go live or post another video.
Hit like and share it for all to see. Because if it touched you, it may touch someone else. You know what I mean? Who touched you? No, I'm just kidding. Miss T, why does it have to be the last one? It is not the last one. We are not leaving.
It's the last one of the season.
It is the season finale. We're going to have a season premiere in about a month. What's today? Let's put a date on it.
June 3rd is today on Saturday.
So June 3rd, we're going to give ourselves a month, right? June 3rd.
Isn't that just like July 3rd?
No, actually it's July 1st.
Oh.
That was a good statement. Life happens. So we're not leaving indefinitely. This is just the season finale. We will keep y'all posted on our return as to when we're returning, but we'll be returning like somewhere around the start of July is what I would say. Right, Jay?
If you see it, yes. If you see a trailer, I suggest you watch it because it's going to give you information.
Yes. We're just going away to revamp. Come up with some more topics and ideas. Because y'all don't want to send us no topics and ideas. We be asking and y'all don't be giving us nothing. So we want to make sure that we can continue to give you great content, that we can continue to have great conversations with you and help in any way that we can. So we're going to take a little break, talk to the big guy upstairs, talk to one another, talk to people around us in person, since the people visually don't want to, maybe you don't want to put yourself out there and put comments. We're going to talk to people and we're going to come back with some new content. We're going to come back maybe looking a little different. You know what I mean?
See, we already starting.
Oh, yeah. She put the curls back. Thank you for pointing that out, Jay. We love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to have you. And y'all already know the book.
Oh. You don't have your book yet? Well, get it now. Broken But Not Defeated by Tashara Gilliard on Amazon.com. Want it autographed? Send an email, lovescompassion@gmail.com, and we will make sure you get your book today.
And while we're away, if you guys, need to be tightened up a little bit, little shape up, little tape, a little fade, little Caesar, you know what I mean? Ready? So we thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to miss you, but we will be back shortly, right after, these weeks of messages. Have a blessed one. Stay blessed. Stay encouraged. Stay prayed up. And stay non-judgmental.
Stay compassionate.
Love and compassion. We're going to come up with something for that. We'll be back.